What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. It's Phoenix with another recap of building as a pleb, or as a newbie, I should say. I am a graduate of a boot camp, but still struggling along, learning React Native, and also just trying to see what documentation comes out from Antelope. Not so much yet. I actually did take a look at the new EOS Learn and Earn, I believe, and there's just a few introductory type videos, but hoping that that eventually scales up to documentation. But anyway, I figured I'd give you guys a demo today of some of my progress made on this application I'm building. I did hit a stumbling block on my smart lock. Actually, I purchased one of these. If you guys are familiar with it, it's a Slage Sense. There you go. And this is the adapter. I believe this with this adapter, it allows basically the smart lock to tie into the Wi-Fi within my home. I'm thinking of maybe going with Slage and a few other firms to integrate that functionality with the application. But I didn't have this piece. I only had the lock. So even though I was able to get most of the API working, it didn't fully work because I was told I need this. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a try, probably the next couple weeks, and let you guys know. Hopefully I'll have a demo on that. That'll be exciting. And try to think about how to integrate that with my application I've been building over the past couple weeks. Nonetheless, so my focus then transitioned to kind of getting this interface to work properly. It is red just now because of keeping track of layers and different formats. It won't obviously be red once the final rendering is done. But obviously, I'm showing one of my favorite places here. I was able to integrate the Google API Maps and render an actual location. Now, in the actual application, it does search for where the user is located, and it shows that location. I didn't want to do that for this demo because I didn't want to dox myself in the exact location I'm in. So I selected one of my favorite places, which is Venice Beach. On the bottom here, I'll have different cards for the various properties that you could participate and transfer via Antelope and probably this technology. But for now, I'm still working through exactly how I want those cards to show. I hope that in the next update I have, you'll be able to see cards, and I'll have like an interactive scroll. On the top, I was able to integrate the search bar. It's really what the React Native drawer navigator. And so it took me a little bit of time to get the formatting the way I want it. At some point, I want to have a autocomplete feature for locations. So as you type in San Diego, for example, or Los Angeles, or wherever you actually are at around the world, it'll actually suggest to you very much the way Airbnb feels. I want that user experience. So I'm only going to pay a little bit of money to leverage the API to allow me to do that. So hope to actually have that as a demo for the next one. And then on the left here, I've been working on my drawer. So this is kind of the functionality I have. I don't have the drawer icon that remains. So I thought about maybe doing that so you can tap it and it would disappear or reappear. Right now, the way it is the user would have to select after they click that hamburger icon, which that's what people call it on the top left. They'd actually have to select where they want to go. I don't have it where it's minimized. So I think I have two options. One is maybe a hamburger logo that remains on the top left, and just tapping that would close this drawer, or maybe having the ability to make this screen, this drawer, a little smaller than the actual information in the back, the content in the back. And maybe by tapping out of this area, intuitively the app would know to, there you go, crashes. The app would know intuitively to close the drawer. So I don't quite have that yet. I do have an unhandled promise rejection, and that's because the ID that I'm supposed to select or I'm supposed to populate within the context of this application, I did not provide it something. So you can just ignore that error for now. That'll be fixed. But I have a couple different menu items here. The browse is the one we were looking at. So if the user clicks browse, it should go to this page where they get a bunch of cards and more of an interactive map that shows different properties that they could find out more information about, the type of permission system that's required, the fee, the different availability for the property, for example. That's all going to be contained here. And then within the context of like these other menu items, I have like a request for service. I kept these kind of generic for now. These will probably be relabeled to accommodate the app I'm actually building. And then on the top right, top left here is a kind of a card for the user. So I imagine a photo, maybe their name, and the type of role they have within the app. It's very simple right now, not trying to get cute. There will be an accounting area. So I kind of just lay this out. So as you kind of go through the screens here, there's a section for accounts. There's a section for help, and there's a sign out page. So at some point here, that'll be, definitely worked on further. It's a one-man band right now. But that's what I've been working on. I, definitely learned a lot with React Native. So anybody who's struggling with that, if you need, any tips or you're working on similar things for your framework, especially if you're going mobile first, I'm willing to give you a hand with the little I know. But it's definitely been fun working with the React screens and navigation. Those are the main tools I've used along with Google API. So some other things that might be helpful for some developers or anybody who's thinking about potentially, I guess, building something, whether you're building on Antelope or not, is in fact an app I use, which is, and I'm trying to find the app here. I have to kind of sort of do this in real time. It's an app called DB Designer, and so what DB Designer does is it essentially allows you to sort of map out the relationships within your application. So if you're going to store things on the blockchain or you're going to store them in a database, you want to have the documentation that shows how the data is related to one another. And so this is an example of what I sort of built out, showing the relationships of locations and different type of assets. So how a booking, for example, relates to a listing, or how that could relate and tie into schedules. So that as this app is built out and it makes various API calls to the backend, we can then render that information in real time to the users. So this is kind of my way of doing that. I'd love to know what other tools you guys use, but I will try to put the link I'll try to put the link for this tool in the description below. So if you guys are interested in utilizing similar tools, it's free. I don't get paid to promote DB Designer, but it is a pretty useful tool for maybe startups that are out there. So that's something I've been leveraging. So I'd love to know what you guys are working on, what excites you. That kind of wraps up a little bit of my journey this week in development. On some other topics, I'm still active in the engineering space. I'm actually thinking of maybe picking up another role to do some other work to raise some funds. It's a mixed feeling, I think, with that. It seems like I might have an opportunity there, and I have mixed feelings because on the one hand, it's great to obviously raise some cash, stack sats and whatnot, but it is bittersweet because I've been hoping to solely focus on this development, especially for smart contracts. But I think where we're at right now, and it seems like maybe more time might be needed. You just look at the tooling and the documentation and support. Just don't think it's there personally, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to actively try to build on it and still develop my application, but it just is not something I can say support wise, I feel like it's there. But that's just my rant or my take on it. I mean, you guys might have your own opinion, the builders out there. Let me know what you think. Do you think that the environment is ripe for cultivating, your applications. I'm just not seeing the tooling, and I don't know what the time frame is. Like, it'd be nice to see a little bit more of a vision on that in terms of a schedule and a kind of a roadmap on how that would look and how it's going to be built out. Outside of development and my own, personal journeys on these things and my engineering journey, I did tune in and show up to the Helios discussion on the Block One funds, and I'll try to put a link to this in the description below. But I did show up for that, and Chris Barnes and Wax, I believe, were on that. So shout out to those guys. And it was really refreshing, in my opinion, to have that conversation because, as you guys know, I don't necessarily agree with Chris often or Waxa, and some people might perceive individuals within the EOS community as being pro B1 or anti B1. And my whole point in showing up to that Twitter Spaces was just to tell Chris and to tell B1 that just because you have a subset of the community that is angry in some ways, maybe with the way in which things have gone, myself included, does not prevent, any entity from doing what they want, right? And so there's this argument that's been made that, well, if you have people within the community that are angry at B1, it might motivate them not to support the community or not to give donations. And I just find that comment kind of hilarious because, there's a lot of people that don't like what I do, or they're critical, or maybe they don't even comment on these videos, right? There's very little support right now, in my opinion, within the community. How many likes do these videos get? And, I don't have the bees promoting this kind of content. They promote stuff about buying EOS or it mooning, which I hate that term. It'd be nice to focus on builders who are actually trying to develop things because there's just so few people doing stuff. But enough of that rant. My point is that, it doesn't stop anybody from doing something. And I try to be consistent about showing up. So I don't think B1 or anybody at B1 is different. You look at the people within EOS who have continued to show up, who continue to hold their tokens, some of them never even selling. So, I just find that to be a mute argument. And my other point was that you're never going to make everybody happy. Whether you're ENF or, B1 or you're Helios, any of these entities or any individual, when I've worked for organizations, I've always found that it's never, it's almost like it's almost impossible to make everybody happy all the time. The best you can do is, from your vantage point and your perspective, try to make the right decisions, use good engineering judgment, good business judgment, and carry out your vision of what you think is right and what you feel is in the best interests of the stakeholders, And in my opinion, do I think B1 has done that? No, but that's just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. I don't necessarily need to agree with B1, right? And I think it's a little ridiculous to think that everybody has to view B1 in a certain way, for them to carry out whatever they're going to do. But with that being said, my other argument to Chris and B1, if you're listening, and others out there, is that reputation and respect come from proof of work, and proof of work requires showing up and doing actions consistently over a longer period of time. And there's a cadence to that. There's like a rhythm to that. It doesn't just occur from one action. Giving $500,000 is maybe some might perceive a drop in the bucket. Now, if you were to follow that up over a period of a year or 2 years or 3 years with multiple actions that positively, show that you're channeling your energy to cultivate this overall vision that some, might argue was promised, then I think it provides a greater argument or framework for fulfilling that vision, but I don't think that's been done. Obviously, that's my view. I'd love to hear you guys and your opinions. But yeah, we'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed, my little rant and my update, and hope everybody's having a good end of the year, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So until next time, this is Phoenix. I'm going to sign off, and hope you guys are doing well. Peace.